All right. Morning, everyone. So this year for Earth Sunday, decided we wanted to talk about natural gas. And natural gas is a really hot topic in climate right now. Everybody's talking about it and how it figures into the future of our planet, both with trepidation, but also with some excitement. So I want to talk about natural gas a little bit this morning and what we all as regular people need to know about it. So there we go. So there's a lot of things we've probably heard about natural gas. Maybe we've heard that it's a clean fuel. Maybe we've at least heard that it's a transition fuel, right? We know we need to get over to renewables, but right now we're still burning coal and oil, and natural gas at least is cleaner than that, right? So we'll use natural gas while we still need it in order to transition over to renewables, right? But that's kind of the narrative that we've heard about natural gas, maybe. Unfortunately, the truth is that none of that is really true. So natural gas, as you've probably noticed, I've been putting it in quotes so far, and natural gas, what it is really is methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas that is up to 30 times more potent in terms of its global warming potential than carbon dioxide. But that's really what this stuff is. And what that means is really natural gas is kind of a clever branding device for something that is not any more natural than coal or oil. Yes, it's naturally occurring, but it's not good. So we're going to start calling it unnatural gas from here on out. Okay, so why is it so bad? It's actually not the fact that we're burning it that's so bad. It's not the combustion that's the main problem. The main problem is that it leaks. About 2.3% of unnatural gas leaks into the atmosphere every year from the fracking process, from the storage facilities, from the pipelines that transmit it into our homes and buildings. That's a lot. It may not sound like a lot, but it translates to 13 million metric tons every year that's just leaking out into the atmosphere. And remember, this stuff is 30 times more potent than CO2. And as a result of that, oops, there we go. As a result of that, some studies estimate that unnatural gas's climate impact is on par or worse than coal. And that's crazy when you think about it. So, you know, in the last couple decades, we've had this big transition. We've been using a lot more natural gas. Coal's been going out, natural gas has been coming in, and you know, a lot of us probably assume that's a good thing. You know, at least natural gas isn't as bad as coal. Well, sadly it is. Unfortunately, nothing is really changing when we're replacing coal with natural gas in terms of the climate impact. So the bottom line of all this is unnatural gas is not a clean fuel. It's not any better than any of the other stuff, really. And we just have to stop using it as quickly as we can. So, how do we do that? Well, we need to ditch unnatural gas and electrify everything as soon as possible in the next 20 years. We need to get it out of our electricity generation supply. Luckily, that's kind of the easier part because renewable energy, solar and wind, is really booming. It's the fastest growing industry, one of the fastest growing industries in the US right now. And so as long as we continue investing in renewables, there's a good chance that we can start powering our electricity system with renewable energy in time. But the tricky part is all of the devices that we have that run on natural gas in our buildings, unnatural gas in our buildings. Our stoves, our water heaters, our furnaces. Those devices, we have to figure out what to do about them. So what do we do? Well, this guy, Saul Griffith, he is a MacArthur Genius Grant recipient, and he has dedicated his professional life really to just answering this question. How do we get all of these gas-powered devices out of our society in time? He's crunched a whole bunch of numbers, done a whole bunch of math, made this graph here of how long does each device last? What's the lifespan? How long is it going to be before we'll have enough of these things retired that we'll be able to electrify our appliance system. And what he found is that actually, in fact, we can do this in time. If we electrify enough of our devices, we can make the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris climate target. So what percentage of our devices do we need to electrify when they reach the end of their life? Every single one. That's what he found. Every single time that we replace a gas-powered machine, a water heater, a stove, a furnace, a barbecue, we need to replace it with an electric alternative. And if we do that, starting right now, we can solve climate change. So, sounds a little scary, sounds a little intense, but like I said, this is actually also really exciting, and people are really excited about this because it means that we have a game plan. It's a very simple game plan, and if we actually do this at scale, we can solve this. And the other exciting thing is that we're not powerless, right? Each of us who has a gas appliance still in our home has a role to play in this revolution. Okay. So here are the actionable action items for all of us. We need to never buy another gas-powered device again. That's really the bottom line. If we do that, again, we are contributing to this goal of replacing every single gas-powered device with an electric one when it reaches the end of its life. And if possible, we want to actually retire our gas-powered devices early. In a lot of cases, we know, you want to use things, it's the environmentally friendly option to use things as long as possible because, manufacturing and industry causes emissions and all of that. Not in the case of gas-powered devices because they are using a literal greenhouse gas. So it is better for the planet to retire gas-powered devices as soon as you possibly can. And finally, we want to be supporting initiatives that are called REACH codes. And they're happening here in our community, which is great. We have a really good track record in this area, really, of REACH codes. And what are REACH codes? REACH codes are community-level laws that say that all new buildings have to not have natural gas coming into them, or unnatural gas coming into them. They need to have all electric appliances. And like I said, we're doing pretty well here. Menlo Park, Redwood City, Palo Alto, and San Mateo County all have ordinances requiring this, which is awesome. And some of the places around here are even considering the next step and the next really critical step, which is REACH codes to retrofit existing buildings and get the gas appliances out. And those we have less of a great track record with. Those cause a lot of community controversy. So if any of you are on your local next door or go to your city council meetings or anything like that, supporting REACH codes and these next level REACH codes is a really, really powerful thing you can do to help get unnatural gas out of our society. I just want to end with a little reflection on this quote that we put in the bulletin this morning. Climate change, despite being so definitely caused by humans, is profoundly non-human. It is so expansive that our understanding is continually outpaced by its total seepage into our environment. Climate change is both a thing and much, much more significant than a mere thing could ever be. And the reason I put this very heady intellectual quote in the bulletin this morning is the bottom line is, I get it. It is really, really hard to viscerally feel the reality of climate change. Like, that is one of the hardest things ever because it's so big and it's so expansive. And we can understand it intellectually on some level. We can understand that we have a problem and that it's not going to go away, and that the longer we keep burning things to power our society, the worse it's going to get. But to actually feel how urgent it is that we do something about that is hard. Compared to something like COVID, compared to something like the war in Ukraine, we can actually look around and see how society is reacting to that, how we need to be reacting to that. But climate change is just so big. And I really get that it's hard, but we're not okay. unfortunately. And we need to not just get that through our heads, but get it through our hearts. We need to start feeling the urgency of this. But the other thing that it's hard to feel, and that's actually really exciting, is that we can do something about this. It's hard to feel just how important our own actions are, how much our own actions really, sorry, I keep pressing the wrong button, how much they really do matter. And so I've laid out some actionable steps that we can take about this really important problem. Linda's going to talk more about that both in a second and in the second hour, which I really encourage you all to attend. But that's what I really want to leave you with, is we're not powerless. Every single action matters, and we all can do something. So thank you.
We have to bring this one down. Thanks for setting the stage on unnatural gas. And what I want to address is, do we have a responsibility? Is it our turn to kind of keep working on turning what isn't a sailboat? We're talking a mega oil tanker around. This is a big job. But let's just look at that one piece. Methane comes from unnatural gas, and we can practice what Jesus preached, which is to love our neighbor. And our neighbor is everyone around us. It's the plants that are out there. It's the animals. And how do we start? So there's two things we can do. As he talked about, we can start replacing the gas, and we can make sure that we do energy efficiency, electrical energy efficiency. Those are the two things. Those are so doable. And we could be pioneers in some of this. And I'm going to take one example just to show you how we can be pioneers. Suppose we've got a water heater. I think you all have water heaters, so we can all relate to this, okay? You've got a water heater. A lot of us have gas water heaters. I'm going to put my hand up. I got one, okay? So what am I going to do about this? Well, I can be the pioneer. I take my water heater, I replace it with a heat pump water heater. That may be one action. We all start doing it. What happens when you do that? You start to have more research go into it. You start to have better efficiency. It already is way more efficient. And I chose water heaters because about 60% of our gas use in homes, this is a general figure from a site I found, is 60% of the gas use in our homes is that water heater. Well, makes sense. It's 24/7, it's working. Okay. So we have more research goes into it. We get better heat pump water heaters. What happens? The price starts to come down. You and I are buying those heat pump water heaters. It now starting to become more affordable for our neighbors who may not have the funds that we have. That's a really important point. We can create the circle effect. The more people buy it, the more affordable it becomes. The more affordable it becomes, the more people buy it, the more affordable it becomes. We start to see that ship turning around. Now, what about gas in homes? As he talked about leaks, there's a Stanford study that addressed, unbeknownst to us, there are leaks everywhere, some of them in our homes. They're not, they're not maybe detectable to us, but there is a health issue with it, and there clearly is a climate issue with it. We may have airtight homes. Those are going to be even a little bit worse. But think about your lower income, your marginalized areas. They're going to go for they've got old gas appliances, old gas furnaces. They're dealing with health issues. Is it our responsibility as Christians to be pioneers, to set the stage and get that going so that they can then afford to change out their appliances and not deal with the leaks in their homes? So we're also talking about not just gas appliances. We're talking, as he's talking about the leaks, that it's all throughout the system. Those gas wells, guess where they're located? I'm sure a lot of you read about this. These are marginalized communities that have those gas wells right next to them. And they're dealing with all those methane leaks that come from gas wells. So when we look at it, again, here's this circle. We buy energy efficient electric appliances. Less gas needs to be produced. Less gas needs to be produced. Less unnatural gas needs to be pumped. Less methane leaks. As we start transitioning, we can really start to help those other neighbors besides just helping ourselves, our plants, the animals, and we can be that good neighbor. So I encourage you to stay for second hour, which I hope is going to be a lot of fun. If you can't stay for second hour, I very much encourage you to take a look at this on the back and try and fill it out for your house and think about where you might start making some changes. Every change matters. And what I want to end with is something from Interfaith Power and Light, which our church is a member of. And it's a quote that asks us to make a pledge. We remember that we are interconnected with our sacred earth and all of its inhabitants, understanding that what causes harm to one causes harm to all. Climate change is intertwined with racial justice, health justice, economic justice, and generational justice. As people of faith and conscience, we pledge to make a difference in how we live, work, and worship in order to live into our vision of justice in the world. Amen.